Hey guys, welcome to another video. My name is Sanjit, and today we'll be talking about a subject which is very important when it comes to DGC exams. It is called the right of way. So, starting about the right of way, I would like to read to you the definition, and it is very basic, right? The aircraft that has the right of way shall maintain its heading and speed. So basically, the aircraft that has the right of way is basically doing nothing. It is maintaining what it was already maintaining. It is maintaining its heading and speed, right? So there's also another concept which is called as giving way. So one aircraft is has the right of way and the other aircraft is giving way, which means it is giving way to that aircraft. So basically what is happening here is there are few situations that I will describe, and we will discuss about what is right of way and who has the right of way. So in DGC exams, basically they'll give two aircrafts in two different situations and they'll ask who has the right of way, right? So we'll come to that in a bit. So basically the aircraft that has the right of way, as we discussed, shall maintain its heading and speed, right? It's also saying an aircraft that is obliged by following rules to keep out of the way of another shall avoid passing over, under, or in front of the other unless it passes well clear and takes into account the effect of aircraft wake turbulence. So, wake turbulence is again disturbances left by an aircraft in its wake, or in its wake. Basically, what I mean is disturbances that the thrust or the engine leaves behind. That disturbed air can basically cause turbulence, a lot of turbulence, wake turbulence to the aircraft that it is passing, it like over, under, or in any means, right? So let's talk about it in a more lame manner, right? So let's say there are two cars on the road, right? So one car is trying to pass or overtake the other car, right? So the two cars, okay, and both the cars are on the highway. So one car in the back wants to pass over the other car, right? So the car that is being passed over or overtaken has the right of way. So basically, the car that is being overtaken is basically having the right of way. It is doing nothing, right? It is maintaining its heading, it's maintaining its speed, it's on the road, it's not doing anything extra, right? But what is happening to the car that is giving way? The car that is giving way is basically going around it, right? It is going around it. It's not asking the other car to move for it to overtake. It is going around it. It's altering its heading, it's altering its speed. Of course it has to increase its speed to overtake, right? So basically the car that is being overtaken has the right of way, and the car that is overtaking this car has given way to that car, right? So that's the layman term of it. Now let's talk about different situations. So in today's class we'll be talking about let's say three situations. One is approaching head on, two is converging, and three is overtaking, right? So approaching head on, when of course I'll try to attach this so that I can use my hand to describe. So approaching head on basically means two aircrafts and both are approaching head on, right? It's coming, it's on the same altitude, it is just approaching head on, and if nothing is done, basically they will crash into each other, right? So that is why the concept of the right of way has been brought into place. So what happens is, so both of these aircraft approaching head on, if they do nothing at all, of course the ATC is there, but let's say it's in an uncontrolled airspace and two aircrafts are approaching head on, right? So they are approaching head on. The rule says both the aircrafts has to turn towards the right. So this aircraft is turning towards the right and this aircraft is turning towards the right. So both the aircraft turns towards right and they both avoid each other. The diagram will show a better representative than both my hands, but yeah, I hope you get the concept. So when both the aircrafts are approaching head on, both of them have to alter its heading to the right, and that way, you know, uh, a collision is avoided, and both, like, the right of way concept comes into place. So let's read about it. uh, when two aircrafts are approaching head on or approximately so, and there is danger of collision, each shall alter its heading to the right. Right? So that is has been explained. I hope you understood it. So two aircraft approaching head on, both alter its heading to the right. Now, what about when the aircrafts are converging? Now, in many cases, even me, like before, I was not able to understand the difference between approaching head on and converging. So, converging basically uh, can be multiple situations, right? Multiple situations in the sense, okay, first let's read it. When two aircrafts are converging at approximately the same level, the aircraft has the other on its right shall give way, right? So there are a few more situations that are coming up, but we will talk about it in a vague manner. So the two aircrafts, right? They're not approaching head on, right? They're not approaching head on, but they're on the same altitude, right? On the same altitude. And if you can see my fingers, see, one aircraft is here, one aircraft is here. So basically, if they turn towards each other, they might collide, right? So two aircrafts are turning towards each other, and they're on the same altitude and they're converging. Converging basically means that the distance is reducing between both the aircrafts, and they're on the same altitude, right? So again, the diagrams might explain it much better uh, with what I'm saying, of course. So let's see what they're trying to say. They're giving few situations and you have to understand it accordingly, right? Power driven heavier than aircraft shall give way to airships, gliders, and balloons. So power driven heavier than aircrafts are basically helicopters, your airplanes, and all these things. They shall give way to airships, gliders, and balloons, right? So basically, why does power driven or engine driven aircrafts give way to these aircrafts that are, lighter, or gliders, airships and balloons? Because the aircrafts with engines have more maneuverability. Maneuverability means, let's say this is a balloon and there's an airplane. Now both are on a collision course, right? Who do you think can move away faster? Of course, the airplane, right? Because to move a balloon, it will take more time compared to moving this airplane, right? Because it has engine power, it has thrust, and it can alter its altitude or heading much faster than the balloon. So basically, that's why uh, the more the maneuverability, uh, the more it has to give way, basically. Or the less maneuverability, like balloon is less maneuverability, will always have right of way, right? So let's talk more about it. So it's also basically, when they're saying give way, basically it means that, let's say there's a balloon and there's an airplane that is coming towards the balloon will have the right of way, which means the airplane will have to go around it, or climb or descend or whatever, right? But the balloon will have the right of way, and the airplane will have to give way, right? So again, right of way means this is not moving, and when you're saying that this is giving way, it is basically giving way to the balloon to stay where it is, right? And it is moving around the balloon, right? Okay. Now, we already discussed that power driven, an airplane or a helicopter will always give way to airships, gliders, or balloons. Airships shall give way to gliders and balloons. Again, airships, if you if you have seen an airship, or you can Google what an airship is, it has more maneuverability uh, than a glider or a balloon. So in that case, it will give way to gliders and balloons. Gliders shall give way to balloons. Gliders are more maneuverable. You have seen gliders, they can move around more, much better than balloons. So gliders are giving way to balloons. Power driven aircraft shall give way to aircraft which are seen to be towing other aircrafts or objects. So a power driven, let's say, airplane or a helicopter will give way to another aircraft which is towing another aircraft or another objects. By towing, if you have seen an aircraft towing another aircraft, you can see that in case of gliders, in many cases you can also see banner flying. So many airplanes fly around with banners. So even that, right? So that has the right of way over any other aircraft. Now, in all these situations, you have to remember one thing: if an aircraft is in state of emergencies, that aircraft has a right of way always. So it's a DGCA question. uh, let's say it's a glider versus an aircraft that is in state of emergency. The aircraft in state of emergency will have the right of way. Okay, it's that simple. Now, let's talk about the third topic for today. It's overtaking. An overtaking aircraft is an aircraft that approaches another from the rear on the line, forming an angle of less than 70 degrees within the plane of symmetry of the latter. I- That is in such position with reference to the other aircraft that at night it should be unable to see either of the aircraft's left or right navigation lights. An aircraft that is being overtaken has the right of way, and the overtaking aircraft, which, when whether climbing, descending, or in horizontal flight, shall keep out of the way of the other aircraft by altering its heading to the right, and no subsequent change in the relative positions of the two aircraft shall absolve the overtaking aircraft from this obligation until it is entirely clear. So I know it is a very detailed thing that they're talking about. So let's read it together. Let's break it together, right? An overtaking aircraft is an aircraft that approaches another from the rear on the line, forming an angle of less than 70 degrees within the plane of symmetry. So this is an aircraft, and this is an aircraft, and it is coming from behind, and it is making an angle of less than 70 degrees. You don't have to get caught up on that, but sometimes, like very rarely, this question is asked, right? So angle of less than 70 degrees is a question that is sometimes asked. So, an overtaking aircraft is an aircraft that approaches another from the rear on a line forming an angle less than 70 degrees. Okay, so basically, it is just making an angle of less than 70 degrees in this plane. Okay, so that's it. You only have to remember this number, right? Uh, and it's also saying is in such a position with reference to the other aircraft that at night it should be unable to see either of the aircraft's left or right navigation light. So it is in such a position. So sometimes I've been in this situation. So sometimes what happens is, when you're right behind the aircraft, now, for basics, getting back to basics, uh, aircraft has an airplane basically has two navigation lights, right, and an anti-collision light. We'll talk about this in detail in the next class, or in the next class. But there are two navigation lights, right? One on the right, one on the left wing, right? One on the right wing and one on the left wing. And anti-collision lights in many aircraft are there on the top of the tail and on the bottom, on the belly of the aircraft, right? But I'm talking about navigation lights, right? So navigation lights basically, on the right side it's always green, and on the left side it's always red, right? So starboard, which means right side, is always green, and port, which is left side, is always red. So sometimes when you are right behind that aircraft, you'll not be able to see any of these lights. So that's what they're saying. You're unable to see either of the aircraft's left or the right navigation light. Okay, so you're right behind it within the 70-degree plane. An aircraft that is being overtaken has the right of way, and the air overtaking aircraft, whether climbing, descending on, or in horizontal flight, shall keep out of the way of the other aircraft by altering its heading to the right. So basically, what is happening is that the aircraft on the back is giving way to this aircraft. So initially we spoke about two cars, if you remember. If you need, get back to that. So two aircrafts are there. The aircraft which is going to overtake the aircraft ahead has given way to this aircraft. So the aircraft being overtaken has the right of way. So two cars, one behind, one ahead. The one that is ahead has the right of way, because the one that is behind is going to go around it and change its speed, change its heading, and it will basically give way, right? It is basically giving way to the vehicle which is ahead, right? I know it sounds a bit complicated, but basically, let's look at it again. Two aircrafts, one ahead, one behind. This wants to overtake this aircraft, right? So it is going around it. Okay, it is going around it, and this aircraft which is ahead, which is being overtaken, has the right of way, and this aircraft which is overtaking has given way to this aircraft, right? So I know it is slightly complicated, but I hope that with the pictures you'll understand. Now what does it say ahead? It's also saying that uh, shall keep out of the way of the other aircraft by altering its heading to the right, and no subsequent change in the relative position of the two aircraft shall absolve the overtaking aircraft from this obligation until it is entirely past and clear. So they are basically asking that if you want to overtake, you have to overtake from the right, right? You can of course climb or descend, but it's saying that you have to always overtake from the right. Of course you can overtake from the left also, but that would be with the permission of the ATC. But in this particular case, it is asking you to overtake from the right. So basically, if a question is asked, overtaking an aircraft, you are within the 70-degree plane, how would you overtake it? You just say that you are going to overtake it from the right, and you, until all this procedure is complete, the overtaking procedure is complete, the aircraft that is overtaking the other has full responsibility of this maneuver, right? And for the safety of its own and the other aircraft, right? And of course the other aircraft will also keep itself safe. But yes, uh, the overtaking aircraft has given way, and the overtaken aircraft has the right of way, right? So approaching head on, both turn to the right, right? And the next situation was converging aircraft. Again, the aircraft, the different right of way that we discussed. And then finally, if one aircraft is trying to overtake the other, then the aircraft that is behind will alter its heading to the right and move out of its way, basically, right? So that's it for this class. Happy landings. Cheers.